preparing for the interview?
Yeah. Water's World homework.
Right here?
Right here.
0.2.
Hello. Did you watch the debate at all?
No, I was drinking margaritas.
What did you do last night instead of watch the debate?
Oh, last night I got really tired. Me and my friends were hanging out and we had a fight and I went to sleep.
Brilliant. For shizzle dizzle.
It was on at 9. I fell asleep. Too much of the no. Just some of the other stuff?
That's right. Is that a joint, man?
Do you know where the debate was?
Miami.
Long Island.
Hawaii.
Who won last night?
Not Hillary Clinton.
Trump. Killed it.
Oh, Donald Trump.
Who won last night?
Hillary.
She beat the out of Donald Trump. It's like a boxing match, right? Hillary hit him with a 1-2. Bing, bing. I'm yelling at the TV. Donald, do something. Do something. Do something. You didn't do it. It was a boxing match. You said that already!
Tell me why you think Hillary won.
She seemed a little more confident. Whenever she would speak, Donald would kind of steal some of her ideas and repeat them. It would have been nice to see him kind of go off of his own opinions.
He chumps everyone up. He just shuts everyone's mouth up. He's like, yeah, whatever.
Are you going to vote in November?
I'm going to vote for Donald.
Really?
I didn't see that one coming, no.
How do you think Lester Holt moderated?
I think he was good about time management.
I think he interjected a lot on Trump. I think he was softer on Hillary.
He didn't bring up Benghazi. He didn't bring up the Clinton Foundation. He didn't bring up any of her lies.
Last night in the debate, Hillary didn't, stop and frisk.
She just went on. She ain't stop and frisk. She did what she had to do.
I don't know what that means.
Have you ever been stopped and frisked?
All the time. I got off the train and got right there, and I had a knife on me, but it was a brand new knife from the store.
You don't have a knife on you now, right?
No, I don't have a knife on me now.
Just checking.
That's a knife.
You don't care if people pat you down?
They're going to do what they're going to do.
Do you think we should stop and frisk Trump?
Yes, everything. He's packing everything. That's why the ISIS is here.
Trump and Hillary battled over ISIS.
It was nice to see her actually say ISIS.
What's the most important issue facing you in America?
I don't have any problems. You don't look so good.
Donald Trump said Hillary's been in public life for 30 years. All of a sudden, she's looking for solutions?
I agreed with that statement 100%.
Trump says he's not going to release his tax returns unless Hillary releases her 30,000 deleted emails.
That's a good idea. We're trying to figure out what's in her emails, and she's deleting it.
Do you delete your emails?
Yeah, immediately.
Oh, hell no.
Whose world is it?
Trump's world.
Do you know who I am?
Jesse Waters.
I don't even have to do this.
And this is your world.
You beat me to it.
All right, here's Waters. What percentage of people you speak to do you consider in some form of inebriation?
Including me.
Let's put you aside for a moment. We'll drug test you right after the show. But
I would say in Port Authority, maybe 10 to 15%.
all right, so 10 to 15%.
Yes.
But that doesn't stop you, does it?
No. That encourages me.
You're right. You might even encourage the guy with the clown nose. Was there a reason for him wearing that?
I'm going to go with drugs.
I mean, was he involved in any circus activity that you could see?
He hit me with a squirt gun after the interview.
Right. And this is a Yale graduate, you know, right?
Yes.
And this guy, he ought to have his own show.
Yes.
That guy.
Yeah, we're going to put him at 4 o'clock.
In fact, you don't know this, but even after you left, he continued. Right?
Yeah, the cameras weren't even there.
New York City, I mean, the best SOT, sound on tape, in the world. Waters, everybody, there he is.
No, the truth. I was going to say something extremely rough to Hillary, to her family, and I said to myself, I can't do it. I just can't do it. It's inappropriate. It's not nice. But she spent hundreds of millions of dollars on negative ads on me, many of which are absolutely untrue. And I will tell you this, Lester, it's not nice, and I don't deserve that.
Donald Trump coming under fire for what many critics say was a missed opportunity to take down Hillary Clinton once and for all. So did he make a mistake? Here to react?
Donald Trump's campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway. Kellyanne, was it a mistake not to go out and say, well, if you don't like the way I spoke about women, what about the way your husband treated women?
It was an exercise in tremendous restraint, and restraint is a virtue. And in fact, Brian, it's a presidential virtue. I think Donald Trump's restraint there in not bringing up what millions of Americans must have had on their minds, which is, really, she's going to take you on a comment here and there you've made about women, and yet her husband has admitted to having affairs, and of course, including one with an intern in the White House when he was president of the United States, paid out a settlement to Paula Jones. The last time I didn't sexually harass someone, I didn't give them $700,000 in a settlement. So instead of going there, he explained, hey, I'm prepared to do that. I knew this was coming, but I'm not going to do it because your husband and your daughter are here. And then he went on to say, and yet, this doesn't stop you, Hillary Clinton, from running hundreds of millions of dollars of negative ads against me. Those are just the ads you see, by the way. We now have these mail pieces that are about Trump and women going to independent Republican-leading women in states like Florida. We just got those yesterday, brought to our attention. So I think this will grow in importance over the next couple of days when people realize what he didn't say, what was conspicuous by its absence. It doesn't mean people won't think it, though. It doesn't mean that they already haven't made up their own minds.
Well, last night was historic. First time we'd seen a woman on a presidential stage. First time in history that I can remember where you've got somebody who is not a professional politician.
That's right.
A businessman.
Maybe Ross Perot?
Yeah, same thing. And then you've got he's got many opportunities to take shots at her. You've got to do some training ahead of time, though, and it was revealed that apparently he didn't do the standard debate prep where you get in a room, you answer questions for 90 minutes. Given how the first one went, will there be changes in the preparation for the second one?
He did a lot of debate prep, Steve. I think that's a myth that people are pushing to sort of diminish like how serious he is about this. He's incredibly serious. He takes the job very seriously. He didn't need to run for president. People run for fame and fortune and status and power. He had all of that. The sacrifice he and the Trump family are making is enormous, and it should not be lost on folks. She's the one who's got that typical D.C. political resume. Hey, this should come next. I waited my turn. I'm next. I deserve it. But when it comes to debate preparation, he did take rapid-fire questions for quite a while from a number of us, and he handled them beautifully. I thought some of the questions last night were completely predictable. We knew they were coming. We know what the obsessions are, particularly in the mainstream media, so that didn't come as a surprise. But I also think Donald Trump, if he's guilty of anything, it's answering every single question that's asked of him, as opposed to Hillary Clinton deflecting, and thoroughly, as opposed to her deflecting and trying to get out every single thing she had memorized so we all can see how over-prepared she was. Look, anybody watching that debate last night did not see in Hillary Clinton a change maker, a disruptor, somebody who can credibly say with a straight face she's going to change the status quo in Washington. If you're worried about your job or you're worried about having a well-paying job, you're concerned about chronic wage stagnation, you think that radical Islamic terrorists are savage murderers and not our, quote, determined enemies, as she famously referred to them in her convention speech, then you know who you're going to vote for. I'm not sure that that changed any minds last night. Meanwhile, he took the case right to her, especially on matters like trade and ISIS. Basically holding her to account for her record and for President Obama's record on those issues.
Mr. Podesta was on our set earlier about an hour ago, and we were talking about
campaign manager.
Exactly, for Hillary Clinton. And he said if you attack the moderator, then that means you have lost the debate. Now, keep in mind, they attacked
Matt Lauer, terrible, because she was so awful in that commander-in-chief for him.
Well, and I asked him about that, and yeah. So, what do you think about that? Do you want to go after Lester Holt? I mean, I heard last night. Yeah, did you think he was fair?
So, Mr. Trump and I have both said publicly, and I'll repeat it here, Ainsley, that Lester Holt did a good job, and he did a great job under very tough circumstances. One of the things that nobody's ever going to be satisfied with is, why wasn't this issue raised? Why wasn't that issue raised? And I saw your graphic earlier that Donald Trump was grilled, indeed cross-examined on a number of issues. You listed them there. And that didn't happen with Hillary Clinton on Benghazi, on emails. Mr. Trump had to mention emails.
Pay for play.
No real, that's right, the State Department.
Deplorables.
By the way, the deplorables, things that, pick a card, any card. The fact that she's for late-term abortion or sex-selective abortion, if we're talking about domestic issues, the fact that she changed her mind, did a total 180 on gay marriage. She ran in 2008, emphatically defending traditional marriage, and now running in 2016 has totally shifted on that completely. So there are many things that weren't asked. But look, that's why it's important to have full-fledged campaigns in between these debates. I think it's too bad that people had to wait to tune into a presidential debate to see how Hillary Clinton really thinks on the issues. Unless you're a fat cat donor at one of her fundraisers, you don't get the benefit on a regular basis to hear what she thinks. Contrast that to Donald Trump, who's out in the stump every day. He's on his way to Florida now after a long night last night. He'll have a long day in Florida today. Then he'll be in Chicago tomorrow and Wisconsin. Why?
After going
because
to the
he's bringing the case. That's right. He's bringing the case directly to people. Going to the spin room was unprecedented. I was so glad he wanted to do that.
Right, and I'm so weak because you
got a great interview.
Yeah, thanks.
Kellyanne, thank you very much for dropping by.
Anytime. Thank you.
All right. By the way, we should point out, while we had Donald Trump on the program, we invite Hillary Clinton on the program every day. Same thing for David.
She's always booked.
Anytime she wants to accept that.
She's preparing for the next debate.
Exactly.
It was a good debate, and Donald Trump had a great night. It was so exciting for me to see him be able to walk onto that stage and focus on the issues that the American people are really focused on right out of the gate. Talking about jobs, talking about the economy, talking about having a president who will fight for the kind of trade deals that will put the American worker first. And I couldn't have been more proud to be there and proud to cheer him on. And I really do believe that what people saw last night was Donald Trump really take command of the stage and in his own unique way. I think he spoke to the American people, and I expect the momentum that we've seen in this campaign is only going to continue, and it'll grow as he heads to Florida, I head to Wisconsin. I think last night's going to continue to communicate to the American people that on one side of that stage you had a 30-year career politician, highly scripted. On the other side you had a candid leader who's ready to make.
So you're saying mission accomplished then, based on that answer?
Yeah,
across the board.
I do. I think he had a great night. I mean, you have to understand, Hillary Clinton has been at this level for 3 decades.
I get it, but twice she came back to the same line: trumped up, trickled down.
Yeah. Well, you know, I just remember when they used to demean Ronald Reagan's tax cuts with the same language. And the truth is that what the American people heard last night was 2 contrasting visions for how you get this economy moving again. Hillary Clinton literally said on national television that she wants to raise taxes. She wants to grow government. I mean, that she wants to continue the war on coal and the radical liberal climate change agenda that's literally helped drive this economy into a ditch. Donald Trump, for his part, talked about our plan to lower taxes on working families, small businesses, and family farms, to have stronger and smarter trade deals, to repeal Obamacare, to end the war on coal. I thought that dramatic contrast was a great night for our team, and really a great night for the American people that really want to see change. I mean, in a very real sense, Hillary Clinton, 30-year career politician, highly scripted, kind of said, if you like your status quo, you can keep it. And Donald Trump said, I'm here to bring about real change. And I think people saw both in him the energy, the command, and the temperament to be a great president.
Yeah, there were some moments, though, that perhaps were missed opportunities. And then there were some where he sort of meandered and got into sort of that rhetorical stem winder that he's been trying to pull back from a little bit. And I thought it was interesting this morning listening to Laura Ingraham, who's a supporter of his, say that, you know, she felt that he needs to sometimes take the question and then kind of turn it into what he wants to answer. The birther issue, for one thing, got really down in the mud and ugly at times between the 2 of them, both of them pointing at the other and saying that basically they had treated the president with disrespect. What would your advice be to him on that? Because you've been doing some of this longer than he has.
Well, my advice before the debate and after the debate is just keep being yourself. I mean, literally, you saw Hillary Clinton last night, again, with all of that, you know, those well-prepared lines and well-scripted, you know, debate. They call it pivoting in a debate.
So you don't think it hurts him with his supporters when he kind
Donald Trump was answering the questions. He was doing it with the candor, the refreshing candor that really explains why literally millions of people are being drawn to this movement. I mean, he'll head to Florida today, and I expect we'll see another enormous crowd turning out. I just expect this momentum to continue to build because he is exactly the kind of leader that relates to and speaks to everyday Americans into the issues they really care about.
You get round one next Tuesday night in Virginia. I'll ask you about that in a moment. Round two on the presidential level is October 9th in St. Louis. Already he's suggesting that he will be harder on her next time. In what area?
Well, I think, look, I think it was very disappointing last night that Lester Holt, in the wake of an avalanche of scandal and controversy coming out of the Clinton Foundation in her years as Secretary of State, never asked a single question about the Clinton Foundation. There was never a single question about the fact that she had a server that we learned in the last week. She actually received emails from commanding generals and even the President of the United States, a server that was vulnerable to foreign powers for hacking. It was disappointing to us that not one question about Libya and the tragedy in Benghazi that happened on her watch. 4 Americans fell at a State Department facility, and
he had an opportunity to bring up Benghazi, and some people felt that when she mentioned 11 hours of testimony in front of Congress, that was a golden moment that hung in the air that he didn't grab. And you can't grab every single one as it comes by, and everybody understands that. But is that something you'd like to see discussed in the next ones?
I think the American people want to know the truth. They want to understand what happened in Benghazi, and that literally that was a moment where Hillary Clinton got that famous phone call that she talked about in her earlier campaign for president. And in her State Department, it wasn't that they sent help after 13 hours. They never sent help. 4 Americans fell, and then Hillary Clinton said, what difference at this point does it make? But those kind of issues, the Clinton Foundation, the FBI investigation, those are all issues the American people want answers to. And, it was disappointing for me to see Lester Holt not press Hillary Clinton on those issues.
John Podesta from her campaign is already saying, when you blame the refs, it shows you're losing already. Are you blaming Lester Holt for insufficient performance?
You asked about the next debate. I think that, look, I think Lester Holt did his level best in that environment, and I just couldn't be more proud of the job that Donald Trump did. I mean, walking in front of 100 million people, standing on the opposite side of the stage of a well-rehearsed, scripted, 30-year career politician, and being able to deliver that authentic message that he delivered last night. I thought he had a great night.
Then he said if you'd released the 3,000 emails, and the place erupted, and I fell in line there a little bit.
And what, did anybody nearby go tisk tisk?
Oh, I got a
like that?
Yeah, just was someone just dismissive, just like Hillary treated Donald Trump all night long. Just dismissive.
Can I say something? Everybody you've had on here this morning has been experts, okay? And they've been doing this a long time. But I wouldn't be here today if my son hadn't died. Y'all wouldn't listen to anything I have to say. So I'm speaking to you as just a guy from out there. And this is what I see. I see a man with passion when I look at Mr. Trump. I see a man who wants to make America better. No, he doesn't say everything right. He doesn't say in the way that Mrs. Clinton or a seasoned politician or somebody who's been there most of my life would say it. And this morning you had Mr. Podesta on here, and he talked smooth just like Mrs. Clinton. But he's been with Mrs. Clinton and the Clintons all these years. He knows where the bodies are buried. In fact, maybe he helped shovel dirt on some of them.
And Barack Obama.
And President Obama. And for Mrs. Clinton cannot separate herself from the last 8 years. And Mr. Trump made that clear last night. She wants it both ways, though. She wants to talk about how good things are, and then she wants to talk about things that need to be done to fix things. And one of the key things she said last night, she wants to retrain our law enforcement.
Yep.
This is exactly what Mr. Obama and Mrs. Clinton in the State Department did to our military, and it caused needless sacrifice, needless lives were lost because of this retraining.
All right, so let's get your takes for someone who really has some skin in this game with the loss of your son. When they say that Donald Trump's acting irresponsibly because he said that if Iran's going to buzz our ships, they're going to hear from us. Essentially, they're going to get hit back. You saw what Iran did to it 3 times. Last week, they buzzed our ships in the Persian Gulf. They taunted, as the Russians have done, as the Chinese have done, as North Korea taunts. Does that showing that Donald Trump wanting to respond aggressively is the wrong leader?
This is what I'll say about that. One of the things that impressed me the most about Mr. Trump, besides his passion, he is continually surrounding himself with good people. People that Americans can trust. People that have a good track record for standing up against our enemies. People that have a track record for putting America first. And people like me out there, because I don't talk to the people y'all talk to here, but people like me out there in the country, rednecks, just common everyday people, but who are working and who are, I'm concerned too. Mrs. Clinton said she's concerned about her grandkids. We've got 6. We're not going to leave them a country like my son and my daughters grew up in if we continue down this road that Mrs. Clinton wants to give us. Mr. Trump is surrounding himself with people who will make this country what it needs to be again.
Karen, your son Aaron was a Navy SEAL. He fought for this country, and we are so proud of him for that and thank him for that. He had 2 children, leaves those behind. You'll have 6 grandchildren. Are you fighting so hard for Trump because you believe that he's going to turn this country around for your grandkids and prevent other kids like your son from dying?
That's absolutely why I fight. And, you know, adding to what Brian's question was earlier, and that combined, is that Aaron was 7 years old when Ronald Reagan spoke those famous words, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." He didn't say, let's have a beer and sit down and talk about it. He didn't say, I'm going to funnel you $400 million or $1.7 billion in cash under the, you know,
on pallets.
Thank you. In the dark of night, he said, tear down this wall. And what happened? The wall came down because in that era, our word meant something. People knew you did not mess with the United States of America. We were the balancing factor across the nations. And that's what we believe Mr. Trump can provide again through strong leadership. We have been leading from behind for 7.5 years, and the world is in chaos because when there's a vacancy of power with good people, the bad people will fill that vacancy, and that's exactly what we've witnessed.
Such powerful words. Karen and Billy Vaughn joining us today from Stuart, Florida. Karen, thank you.
Thank you.
Billy.
Honored to be here.
Nice seeing you. Honored to have you.
All our best to both of you and to your 2 daughters.
Thank you.
Well, all right, there was another comment that made him really mad. Listen to this comment and we'll talk about it.
Typical politician, all talk, no action, sounds good, doesn't work, never going to happen. Our country is suffering because people like Secretary Clinton have made such bad decisions in terms of our jobs and in terms of what's going on. Now, look, we have the worst revival of an economy since the Great Depression. And believe me, we're in a bubble right now. And the only thing that looks good is the stock market. But if you raise interest rates even a little bit, that's going to come crashing down. We are in a big, fat, ugly bubble. And we better be awfully careful.
Tucker, what was your reaction?
That's true. That was one of the best lines of the entire debate. It went basically unnoticed as everyone was talking about his sniffing or whether he's a sexist
Why is that
or whatever.
The best line?
Because nobody says it, and it's true. There has been a massive increase of wealth at the top end driven by our monetary policy. 90% of the income gains in the past 2 years go to the top 1%. That's the result of the actions taken by the Federal Reserve that haven't helped the average person. They've created a massive and looming debt crisis that everyone in finance is aware of and is worried about, and nobody ever says publicly. And by the way, the Congress says, we can't control the Federal Reserve. Really? Then why are you there? Like, this is a looming problem that nobody mentions, and good for him for saying so.
Yeah, just real quick, Joe Trippi said that it was about white, educated voters going to the Hillary Clinton, staying in the Hillary Clinton column away from Donald Trump. Did Donald Trump do anything to get them?
Yeah, I mean, that's the line. Look, that's the category that's embarrassed to say out loud that they vote for Trump. You know, I think he met the standard for sanity and not being embarrassing. He's winning is the bottom line, and I think he's still winning this morning.
Someday I'd like to meet that standard.
All right, Tucker Carlson joining us today from the Windy City.
Me too.
Tucker, thank you very much. See you this weekend.
Thanks, guys.
Donald Trump joined us earlier, touting overnight polls that say that he won last night's debate. So what does the Clinton campaign have to say about that? Here to respond is the Clinton campaign chairman, John Podesta. Thank you, John, for being with us.
Nice to be on. Thanks.
Well, what did you think about the debate last night? And who
well, you know, we felt really good about it. I think that she came in prepared, ready to talk about the economy, ready to talk about all the issues. She had specific plans. And I thought he came in unprepared and kind of fell apart, particularly towards the end of the debate. So, you know, we looked at the overnight polls, and CNN had it 62-24. The focus groups that were being done real time had her winning. So You know, I know, you know, maybe that was a poll of Breitbart viewers, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, Breitbart said that he won by 75% and she got about 25%. Variety saying that Donald Trump, putting Donald Trump at 54% and then Hillary at 45%. So the polls.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what the real polls look like and what the American people say, because I think they saw someone who was strong, who could take on the job of commander-in-chief, and I think. Inexplicably, I think Donald Trump tried to bully his way through, but he couldn't do it. She stood up to him, and
well, how about at the end? People are accusing her of bullying him at the end when she talked about the women issues, and he didn't bite.
Well, look, I think that he has a history of saying really terrible things about women, and she called him out. You know, one of the things I think that she's done, she's never attacked him except with his own words. She just. And, you know, I think there's a natural credibility to that. If you're just calling him out for things he's actually said, I know he likes to pretend that he didn't say them, but when you call him out for things like he's actually said, then I think people naturally believe that, okay, well, that's a fair charge.
Mm-hmm. Did she walk away feeling like, that was pretty easy? Because many people are claiming that Lester Holt was in her camp because he did interrupt Trump 30 times and only Hillary 19 times. And they really didn't talk about the email issue too much, and Lester Holt didn't ask her questions about the Clinton Foundation and about Benghazi.
Look, we have a kind of rule in our campaign, when you're complaining about the moderator, you're losing. So even like when Matt Lauer did the commander-in-chief interview, and we felt internally that it was unfair, we never said anything about it. And I think what people saw, and Holt, I think, put him on notice that if he tried to rewrite history on his early support for the Iraq War, if he tried to rewrite history on his support for birtherism, which gave him his kind of political boost in public life, that he would call him out, and he did. And I think on balance it was fair.
Well, to be fair, you guys were upset with Matt Lauer. So does that mean you felt like you lost the forum?
No, I think that we felt like, you know, we just don't complain about the moderator. And I think the Trump side shouldn't do it either a little bit. You know, I think Rudy Giuliani, I saw he was on the show earlier today, said that if he was given advice to Mr. Trump, that he would tell him not to go to the last two debates. We're worried about that. We think that maybe they're probably up in Trump Tower right now saying, given the performance he turned in last night, and particularly given the next one is a town hall, which, you know, he never really answers citizens' questions, you know, maybe they're given a second thought to actually having agreed to do these debates.
I asked Mr. Trump last night and his son Eric, what was the highlight? What was the best moment for your dad and for you, Mr. Trump? What was the best moment for Hillary?
Look, I think her opening comments when the first question
about her granddaughter
was, you know, what about the future? What are they about the economy? And she talked about her granddaughter and her second birthday and thinking about that and what she wanted to do to build an economy that was working on the middle class. That was a great moment.
We've asked her every day to come on the show. We interview Donald Trump all the time. Please tell her I'd love to interview her.